So what do you think? The feeling of not losing all sense of rationality and using magic with a sound mind for the first time in your life. I used magic. I didn't particularly do anything though. Using magic isn't a grandiose thing. Even if it isn't high-level magic, magic can be used in various ways, you see. Even my body rapidly regenerated due to the fact I had used magic. Although you haven't controlled that yet, even the last fist you swung was the result of the magic used in addition to your physical ability. Besides the fact that you simply struck powerfully, is there anything else that you felt? I'm not completely sure, but it seemed like I felt something similar to static electricity. Well, if what you felt is correct, then that's probably magic. Because you don't have much experience yet, you won't be able to feel it clearly. The reason why I made you fight that thing over there is also for the experience. Because if you fight so that there's blood and you struggle to win, you'll unwittingly display your magic. Still, I was a bit surprised. I thought you'd have to roll around for at least 10 days before you'd get a rough sense of things. I'll compliment you, you're quite talented. More than I thought. Ha, ha. Then, you should finish it now. You said that you're prepared, right? I do think it's a redundant question, but until now, have you killed anyone? None. Ending it in one go is best for both yourself and for it. If you just sloppily leave fatal wounds, then it'll make a last-ditch effort. Above the belly button. For the majority of humanoid monsters, it's the pressure point, as well as the internal cinnabar that monsters store their magic. Gathering your magic, pierce it in one swing. Everything's hard during the first try. Much less this task. In order to gain the weight, if you're killing anyone and consuming them. Whatever the reason or justification may be. Very few will feel any sort of resistance. You grabbed something in your fist, right? Open your fist. That's the internal cinnabar I spoke of earlier. It's an item also called the magic bead. If you swallow that, the owner's magic will become yours. I swallowed it like she said, but isn't anything going to happen immediately after? Originally, there should be something like, bam, bam, boom, as soon as you swallow it though. Ayak? WWW, what the heck is this? What brings you here out of the blue? I'm sure you don't have any business with me either. How disappointing. Amongst friends, do we really have to have a reason to meet? Although it's true that I came because I have some business. So, are you the half-goblin from the rumors? Nice to meet you, I'm Solmi. I'm a friend who's played with Sielwa over there since we were younger. Oh, a pleasure. I am Choi Saiwoo. So what's the business? As you're also aware, I've been going about, working part-time under Grandpa Bogeyman. Part-time? What's that? Oh, it means taking in workers. It's something the humans say. That person, not only their way of speaking, but something, since you're the one who caught those two demons. I've come instead of Grandpa to handle the settlement and give the reward for catching them. I'm fine, so give it all to him. Since he's the one who knocked them out alone. He's more than qualified. I know, I know. I was basically watching from the start too. He's incredibly impressive. To the point that I can't believe he was human up until recently. At this rate, won't something really happen during the festival? Where he may even become your leading competitor, Sielwa, no. Just up to there. What festival? When he'll be taken down the second he steps foot. I wonder. I think he has enough potential. So Saiwoo. I'm going to give you a reward now, it's been a while, so I'll give you a choice. The chance to go home right this instant and a chance to take a step forward as a strong monster. Which one do you want? Yo, what the heck, Choi Saiwoo. You didn't even show up at school and your phone's shut off. I picked up this unknown number in case it might have been you. Is something wrong? No. Is what I want to say, but I can't. Yushin, you know, I have a really crazy favor I have to ask you. It's okay if you don't do it if you think it's too much. Is what I can't say. Yushin, I really only have you. Just tell me what it is already. What? What kind of nonsense are you spouting? Yo, Choi Saiwoo, where the hell are you right now? Right now well, no, I have some unavoidable circumstances. My mom's going to go crazy if she finds out that I disappeared for a month without absolutely anything. Your mom's family, that traditional martial arts training center in Anong. Or something like that. Phrase it so that I went there for exactly just a month to really lose weight. I thought you knew this already, but that isn't a place that just accepts regular people. Yeah, I know. It's really absurd and outrageous, and I know that it's an inconvenience. But I really have no other choice, which is why I'm asking you, Yushin. If by chance, you're acting like that because you think I wouldn't believe you, then you can just tell me. Because who knows, I might even be of help to you. It's alright to lie, but speaking of our existence is a breach of rules. I'll even be punished along with you. Yeah. Alright. If something happens, and if you can reach out to me, then make sure to do so. It probably isn't it, right? Phew. You're saying I could go back right now? But I heard that it's only possible if you're qualified. Yeah, well, that's true. But I don't make up things that don't exist. Demonic crow. I said that I don't make up things that don't exist, right? I'm a monster that has the right to go back and forth to the human world. Under the condition, you are responsible for everything that happens once every 6 months, for a single day, I'm able to take an unqualified monster out into the human world. You'll probably feel quite nauseous, but I'm sure you can handle that much, can't you? Then, I'll be back. Thank you for letting me borrow your phone. Thanks to you, I was able to alleviate my worries, to an extent. I'm glad that it was helpful, but will you really be alright with just one call to your friend? There's still some time left, and it'll be better if you see your family once too. My family only consists of my mother now, and it just so happens that she left town on a business trip. Truthfully, I think that's a bit of a relief, really. If she was home, then she would have made quite a fuss instead. Is there something you'd like to eat? It's a bit minor to call it a meal, but I'll buy dinner. Really? That's great. There was something that I really wanted to try. It was something I wanted to try since the first time I made my trip to the human world. It was a bit too hard for me to eat, so I haven't had a single opportunity to eat it until now. What is it? I tried to set up the table with everything I had at home. But will you really be satisfied with just this? Yeah. I'm pretty satisfied though. I've always really wanted to try homemade food since long ago. Since the only human food I've ever tried are things I've bought myself, as well as school food. Since I attend school, do you know Hojung High? Really? That's right next to my school. I've been attending since the beginning of this year, but I didn't have a friend that I'm close enough with to visit their home. You're probably the first from her personality alone, she seems like the type to have many friends though. Thank you for the meal, it was really good, it really has a different vibe from food that you buy at a restaurant. Then, I should give you the reward I mentioned earlier. This scroll right here is called a monster storage. It isn't the same exact thing to be exact, but shall I call it like the bag and smartphone that we use? Like what I did just now, you can call it freely and it can display what you want if you move your finger like this, as if you're scrolling on a phone. And inside this is how you can store and take out items. You can carry items without having to think about the weight or size of them. There are other uses besides that, but if you use yours a few times, you'll be able to familiarize yourself with it pretty easily. The one in the middle is the monster storage you'll be using. The pile of coins on the left is called goblin face coins. It's a currency that has quite a high value even in the monster world, and the 40 niang you just received is quite a sizable amount, so use it carefully. The item on the right is the goblin treasure that's been passed down. They're items that can display various abilities by imbuing monster force. You know how those old human folk tales, stuff like that occasionally pop up. Typically, it's only standard to be given goblin face coins as a reward for catching a shudderwock, but seeing how he told me to pack this along too, looks like Grandpa Bogeyman has some high hopes for you. High hopes, probably means in regards to the great festival, right? To pick the king of the monsters, of course. Although we aren't to the extent of humans, we monsters also do feel a sense of belonging towards their region. If a monster from the Korean peninsula becomes the monster king, that'll be something to boast about. Moreover, I heard that it was regrettable during the most recent great festival too. A monster from the Korean peninsula almost became the king. Yeah, from what I've heard, they were there until the very end, and I heard that it was an incredibly close match with the current monster king. That was quite regrettable then. Yeah, and what's more interesting is the fact that the monster species was a dakibi like you. Of course, they were so strong that in the entire history of the monsters living in the Korean peninsula, there was no one that could rival them. Even hearing that, I didn't even know I was a monster until yesterday. Truthfully, there's still a part of me that wonders what this all is. I think I spend every minute thinking that I wish I could wake up quickly if this was just a dream. Really? You've adapted quite quickly and quite well for someone who says that though. Even when I met you for the first time earlier and heard your resolve, you left quite an impression, did you know that? And while you've made your resolve, it might not be so bad to set your goal a bit higher too. Humans being threatened by the resetting of laws with the change of rulers. That's what you're afraid of. If that's the case, then you can be the monster king. And maintain the current rules for the next years. May I ask you a question? Yup, whatever you want. It feels like I've made a human friend. If you're curious about something, then I'll try to answer to the best of my knowledge. It isn't much, but the shudderwock, monster storage next to you. Just now, it's been flashing like that. Oh, this? It's an emergency call order. It reaches out to the monsters in the area whenever there's a serious emergency situation. If an emergency call order is sent down in the human world, the only reason why that would happen is because some monster broke the rules or they harmed a human, you see. But, well, something like this hasn't happened once in the past few decades. There's no way an emergency call order would. Seriously? Oh. So I put my hand in like this. Do I just put this on and go around with it? Or is it like armor? I'll have to ask how to use it later. Yo. It won't take long. It's a little past 6 right now. Half a day is 6 hours, and since we came at 4, we just need to go back by 10 p.m., okay? I'll be back in a flash, so you just have to sit tight and wait for me to return. Alright. And you can speak comfortably with me, we're friends, aren't we? When I come back, just call me Soul Me. In the end, it's past 10. I wonder if something happened. If I knew this would happen, I should have gotten her number at least. If I have goblin blood flowing through my veins, then it's probably from father's side. Well, even if that's the case, you're probably about a fourth or fifth generation, although you're just only a bit mixed. Did father know that he himself was born of goblin blood? Soul me. Ugh. Seriously, I've been catching you again and again, yet there's no end in sight. At this rate, I'm really not going to have any feathers left. Why are you wriggling about? Things like you don't even feel pain, don't you? Please don't worry. Your friend will be alright. The injury isn't that deep, and I've put on a salve to stop the bleeding, and the ambulance will soon be here too. Keep your head straight. Because the day that rumors spread that you've been beaten by that sort of thing, will be the day your entire family won't be able to go around with their head held high. Well, it isn't a family with a good reputation to begin with. And I knew that you'd be by my side too. Who are you calling Appa? If you're a bit older and close to me, then you're an Appa. If you don't like it, then I'll comfortably call you by your name, Goyu. Isn't there an option to be called in a polite and courteous manner? Then, Oroboni. Just call me whatever you want. Think of today simply as an unlucky day. A car that appeared in the alleyway hit you and your friend. And the driver ran away in a hurry. Until the ambulance comes, don't be afraid. And rest comfortably. Hypnosis magic isn't your family's inherent ability though, is it? I heard learning something separately like that is really hard though. I also tried to learn from Siwa, but I just got scolded and gave up. Does that mean you're a front runner? How many have you caught until now? Including the ones that you helped me with, a total of 24. And there wasn't even a proper monster amongst them either. They're all shudderwalks. They're all on leashes, evil spirits controlled by someone. Just from what I saw, they've killed 7, and injured over 50. Who the hell and why exactly would they do such a thing? I'm sure they're aware of just how heavy the crime of maiming humans is. And what sort of amusement are they getting from such carnage? You're wrong. It isn't for amusement, but for gain. They're killing humans for some sort of gain. I don't get. That's reasonable. As it isn't something that's well known to our generation. Since the olden days, humans have been eaten up by goblins. And it wasn't just to satisfy their sadism or appetite either. Consuming human blood and human flesh. Because that itself is an incredibly potent health food to us monsters. I can't believe it, I've never heard something like that until now. It was a widely known fact long ago. Something that just wasn't passed on to our generation. You can easily become strong by eating human meat. If that truth is known, then will the human world be as quiet as it is now? You'll probably know well since you've taken the qualification test. As there aren't many instances where young kids like us, not even 500 years old yet, that would choose to struggle to take that complicated test. Unless they're oddballs like you and me, it's a boring and frustrating place where there's no real need to go in and out until the law changes. That's our generation's perception of the human world. But at this current moment, when we're near the festival, everyone's searching desperately, to be even the littlest bit stronger. There are monsters who are aware of the secret regarding humans and are willing to take the risk. You should know as well if you're helping Grandpa Bogeyman, don't you? That in recent days, there have been many that have destroyed themselves by going too far trying to get power. Not understanding isn't a motive, but a mindset. If it was me, I would have never created this sort of mess. Rather than attracting attention by using evil spirits that can't even move delicately, I would have done it myself, swiftly and surely capturing them one by one, before eating them. They must be an extremely pathetic coward. Would a coward who isn't even able to attack humans who can't resist, be bold enough to move themselves? Well, even if they are evil spirits, if they have the skill to call forth hundreds, then they may think that it's safer to do that than it is to step forward themselves. Then you go and tell them or something. That instead of acting like a bastard who's desperate for attention, just properly. No way. This damn idiot. I'll get going first. Appa, you do the cleanup, alright? What? I'm sure it was closed, even just a second ago though. How easy. If I knew just how defenseless he'd be, I wouldn't have gone out of my way to put in that much effort. This punk, he knew. Goblin Cirium lightning stab. I thought my heart was going to leap out of my chest. Ability, I don't want to go so far as to call it that, but one of the goblin's characteristics. What is this really? That I rarely get beaten twice with similar tactics. Who? At that moment, the cold chill I felt right before they came swarming. If I didn't recognize that it was the same feeling, then I would have been helplessly killed. Anyway, I did toss it down without thinking about it, but hopefully no one got caught up by it, right? There's nothing to worry about. I've already put all the humans in this area to sleep, you see. Because if they all go screaming at once, I'm not that comfortable enough with handling the cleanup. That's that. Are you really a rumored goblin? Not only does your monster force not look that strong, I thought you would strike quite powerfully. I didn't have any intentions of dropping you this far. I wonder if the ground became weakened after I fell earlier. Humans will probably think it's due to poor construction or a gas pipe explosion. This is quite an unfortunate incident for the people living here, but the house prices will fall a bit. A monster that harms humans and soul me, who hasn't returned. Wouldn't it have been nice if you had just croaked after one toss, kiddo? The main culprit of both problems is the man standing before him. The boy understood that it was all because of a monster. It's just a nuisance if you struggle. And because on top of that, he had a hunch. That right now, he was facing an absurd danger. Well, shall I give you one chance? Just let yourself be eaten by me without uttering a word. Don't look at me like that. Since it isn't something that'll ever negatively impact you. You and I have quite the class difference as monsters. You'll just die more painfully if you struggle, and if the results are going to be the same, then isn't it better to have a painless death? And if it's now, I can even make you a promise. That I'll just let your mother off the hook and devour the others. How about it? I think it's quite a good offer. Goblin sir, sorry about that. Even still, it was quite a crude and banal threat, right? Even I think it was a bit too much, but what can we do? I can't think of an appropriate provocation line. Unique magic murderous sacrilege. My unique magic's poison. The power isn't that bad. But I have to be touched directly in order to activate it. It's an incredibly shitty ability, right? I can't even get the chance to use it against those who are stronger than me, and it just barely worked on you after I racked my brains a bit. I heard that those born of good bloodlines are able to pin others down with just a stare. I can't muster any strength in my body, like I'm experiencing sleep paralysis. It's a fucking unfair life. In the already determined rules, weak things have no choice but to be preyed on. If you knew how to use the thing on your arm, then things might have been different. Disasters don't wait until you're ready to occur. Well, I'll remember you fondly, so keep that in mind in your next life. It's not that I can, not move at all. If it's just one move, this feeling that I can work it out somehow. Damn it. I seriously could have almost fucking died. Even though the poison has now circulated properly, to still make such an effort, is a weak goblin still a goblin? What is this? Ancestor Thunder. Who resides above the 9 heavens and presides over the ministry of thunder. I'm sure your night hasn't arrived yet though. Well, I see you're cooking up a bunch of bullshit. You good-for-nothing fuckers. Holding a useless weapon, isn't deepening your voice and talking a human exorcist's specialty? Where do they even teach people how to talk like that? I did buy some time, but it wasn't to the point that I'd get caught though. How did he catch wind and get here already? No, besides that. This punk's dangerous. He's on a whole different level from those ambiguous shamans. To leave or not leave, if I drag things out any longer, it'll really be over for me. That crow girl was also quite difficult, but if even that punk shows up, then I'll never be able to beat him, even if I came back from the dead. How fucking shitty. If I could, I really wanted to save this until the festival. Pretty great, huh? When he was sane, he was someone who spread his name far and wide in the West. Though I'm not sure how he ended up in that state, that body was a deity-class monster by nature. Have fun playing with him. He's a pretty good match for a bastard who's crazy about looking good. Then, shall I finish the meal before I was interrupted? What? It doesn't look like you're on the same team as this insect. If you want to survive, then it'd be best to answer exactly the questions I ask. What were you doing? I still can't believe it, even after hearing your voice. That's what I want to ask you, can you recognize my voice? Choiziwu. Just what the hell is that look? Well. It's a really long story. Saiwu, you. What happened? Forget about your body, how on earth did you deal with that creature? Wait, I suddenly feel out of breath, bro. Poison, and not just an ordinary poison, but an ability. With the emergency medicine I have now, I can't heal this. Yeah. No need to talk about it now. Saiwu, wait here for a moment. Natural healing, is it taking place? This is getting insane, seriously. So, are you feeling a bit better now? Are you asking if I'm okay? Like I could be, okay. And to make matters worse, a friend we've known for 3 years turned out to be a supernatural hybrid, fully recovered now. And to think that friend was a goblin hybrid. For 3 years, right in front of us, we never sensed a thing. They criticized the Minister of National Defense for wanting to be the Moon King. Over a subject they didn't even suspect. If my father knew, he'd probably laugh and say I'm clueless. But still, I'm a cheap one. Your house, you never told me exactly what kind of training center it was, huh? Yeah. It's our family duty to train and eradicate supernatural creatures. If not, I'd just be treated like a crazy bastard. Well, that's true, but there's only 6 months left now. 6 months, so Yusin also knows about the ancestral ceremony. So, is this kind of thing common? Supernatural beings coming to the human world and harming people. It wasn't that common. In fact, you could say it was quite rare. If they were just fighting among themselves, I wouldn't mind. But for supernatural entities to attack humans, it's been a handful of times in the past 100 years. But the story has changed a bit recently. How recently? For yokai, humans are the ultimate power-up. Yokai who want to become kings have crossed the line, now they're not only consuming virtues but devouring humans. Since a month ago, the number of missing persons started rising, particularly in densely populated cities. While there's no concrete evidence linking these incidents to yokai, in most cases, there were signs of bloodshed or destruction left behind at the homes of the missing. However, this is the first time yokai have revealed themselves so directly. Saiwu. Are you okay? Did you get hurt? I'm sorry, really sorry. I fell for it like a complete idiot. That's enough of that. Don't come any closer, you yokai. If you take even one step in this direction, I'll consider it as ignoring the warning and exterminate you immediately. Yusin, that person is, probably not a human, but a yokai. They probably understand the concept of abiding by the law, so, I warned them instead of immediately striking them down. So, there's no reason to give a warning if you're going to strike them anyway, it's because of you. Like, they'll say, if you're qualified as a yokai, we'll let you loose in the human world. Fool, do you even know what that means? Those things are monsters. Even if they look human on the surface and have individual differences, their true nature remains the same. Consumed by power and slaughter, they're monsters that even devour their own kind, including my fellow beings. No matter how mixed that blood may be, you're still human, Choi Saiwu. This place is your home, you don't need the monster's permission to be here. Let alone getting kidnapped forcibly, you're saying you need to become a monster to stay home. That's some nonsense that makes zero sense. Never, no matter what happens, I can't let you go. I can somewhat grasp what's being said, certainly, from Saiwu's perspective, all of this seems like an unreasonable calamity. However, Saiwu is already listed in the ledger of the supernatural, regardless of his stance, he's a clear resident of the supernatural realm. Setting aside right and wrong, such a violation of the rules will bring about the worst consequences. We have to resolve this before things escalate any further. I'll escape with Saiwu, doing my best not to hurt each other. But, can I? Just looking at the aura around him, I know he's a strong person. Maybe Sealwa or Goyu could handle this, but as for me, even if I can't say it aloud, I can't just stand by and do nothing. I regret to inform you that as a guardian, I will have to take Choi Saiwoo with me. If you're going to ignore the warning, I'll. Fine. What the? He's got an interesting appearance. Does this engraving have some sort of meaning? Is he being controlled by magic? Hypnotized? Controlled? No, that vibe is totally different. Saiwoo, what on earth? I might not understand the killing, but I think the term, a yokai devouring its own kind due to madness suits you, Yusin. Starting with me now, since I've already devoured someone today. They say it's a yokai whose rights have been stripped away. Honestly, I'm not sure. Whatever happened, I killed someone who was alive to protect myself and those around me. And from now on, I plan to continue like that as much as possible. I have no intention of harming people or causing harm, but I've agreed to devour non-essential yokai if it makes me stronger, even if it means death. So, you don't really need to go that far. Our household, no, even if I have the power alone, with you and your mother, in about 6 months, you'll be safe enough in this world. Hey, Yusin. Continuing from earlier, I got one more thing to say. I'm gonna be the yokai king. Are you seriously out of your mind? Do you even know what a yokai king is, and what you're blabbering about? Well, if you ask me to explain in detail, I might not have much to say, but you know. All I know is that I have a chance to give it a shot. As long as I succeed, the world doesn't necessarily have to turn horribly upside down. Hey, don't give me that look. What can I do? The situation is like this. I don't know if it will work or not, but, when did I start chasing after these things? It's better to do something until it becomes something than just staying still. It suits me. I want to give it a try, I'll do it. Understood. Whether you're human or a supernatural being, if your intentions are clear, you don't have the right to force it upon me. But if there comes a time when you, as a supernatural being, cross the line, I'll eradicate you without hesitation. Right, that's how it should be. If you've come to that judgment, it must be a time when you've done something terribly wrong, even if you die for it. Hey, guardian. What's your name? Salmi. I hold the position of a promising messenger in the half-yokai court. I see. Apologize for interfering in the matters among your yokai, but among you yokai, I've heard there are also laws and rights to be upheld. If that fellow over there can't guarantee that, and is unfairly killed or injured. With the position of the Star Hall's chief shaman, anything related, I'll eliminate without mercy. See you next time. Don't worry about your mother's affairs, Yusin. I seriously thought I'd die from fear. It's my first time encountering a shaman. Are they all this intimidating? It won't be the case. That guy seems like an exceptional case even among them. Goyu, you followed me. I can only follow. Now that I've realized what you were thinking. Even not knowing how strong the opponent is, and not even knowing how many there are, you rushed in head first. Even if the opponent was just a bit stronger, you would have been devoured without a chance. Yeah, are you that reckless half-goblin? Oh, hello. Among yokai, those rooted in animals are called beast demons. They are bound by the form and instincts of animals that can be considered ancestors. As their status as yokai rises, not only their human disguise but also their true form deviates from their origin. Such yokai or clans are referred to as phantom beasts. And beyond that, there are those who transcend their own origins. In the past, they were called divine beasts. Beings who were worshipped by both humans and yokai. Nice to meet you. My name is Goyu. You must defeat me in order to become the yokai king. Hello, Choi Saiwoo. What's going on? The atmosphere seems slightly different than before. Don't hold his hand. Why are you suddenly coming out and doing this? He's already had a tough day today, why now? Who cares? Is there a rule that I should be asleep the whole time? And besides, it's fun. A half-goblin who boldly declares that he will become a yokai king. Acquired techniques. Shrinking ground. You're tougher than I thought, huh? Dealing with the shrinking ground for the first time, and being able to still remain standing, that's rare. Moreover, it doesn't seem like you're that surprised either, I guess. Do you intend to eat me too? Well, that's probably the most likely possibility, isn't it? There's something I want to ask before we start. Do you play games? Not metaphorically, I mean those computer games. I did various things in middle school, but I didn't play games much in high school. I see. So, what genre did you like back then? AOS? FPS? MMORPG? Or maybe mobile games? If I had to pick, action RPG. I'm not a big fan of online games. It feels like spending money becomes more important than skill. That's good. It seems like we might have quite a lot to talk about. Certainly. You're quite fast. Instead of evading and attacking, before avoiding, he targeted me and moved. I'm the one who attacks. His judgment and decision to target me seems pretty good for a rookie. No, definitely great. When it comes to combat, Saiwa's senses and talents are the best. But the thing that shines at this moment is it was the ability to learn enemies that induce the approach that he already experienced before. That the other person may have vigilance against potential dangers. The chosen solution was indeed a newly learned lesson today. Arm guards that release the wearer's vitality and strength. And one more lesson. Even if it seems the attack has landed, never let your guard down and finish it decisively. Yokai force, it's not completely. I think I got the hang of it now. A static electricity that pierces through the entire body. It starts from the lower abdomen. Intuitively, the remaining amount seems to be slightly more than half, around 60%. When I just released a strong attack, 10% was consumed. When I released several smaller attacks, each felt like around 3% was used. If the remaining force reaches 0%, will it become depleted like last time? Considering that I can't use it infinitely. It's an amazing concept. I didn't expect to use my abilities so soon. Did I underestimate you? I had to break through phase 1 as soon as we started. Both in what you're saying and, are you really trying to eat me? I'm not sure exactly how to phrase it, but I don't sense any piercing intent from you. Well, it feels awkward forcing a lie that doesn't exist. Yeah, I don't have any particular personal grudges or appetites. Just like I said at the beginning, what you said got on my nerves. Do you know exactly what a yokai king is? Literally the king of yokais, isn't it? Making laws and ruling other yokais. But if you think about it a little, isn't it a bit strange? The selection method is simply a contest of strength. Apart from that, its cycle happens only once in 666 years. The fact that a king who will reign for hundreds of years is decided with a single festival. The fact that all yokai follow that awkward tradition that has come down from a long time ago, it's because it's an indispensable tradition that must be upheld. We yokai are inherently loyal to our desires and instincts. Simply because the strong made laws and rules doesn't mean we abide by them. Normally, slaughter and predation wouldn't cease, right? So, to prevent that, the yokai king is the ancient yokai's creation, a safety device. As the nature of yokai dictates, the inevitable catastrophe will occur. To prevent that, everyone agreed on at least one thing: let's protect this. A being that commands the obedience of all yokai in this world, in exchange for harmonizing their survival. That is the yokai king. Fortunately, for over 10,000 years, the successive yokai kings have managed the yokai of their eras without major disruptions. There might have been differences in policies, but the fundamental principle of yokai survival and benefit remained the same. Except for one, the yokai king of this generation. Imagine if your human leaders suddenly enacted a law like this one day. No one in the world should ever eat meat, no matter what happens. What will happen then? Everyone would definitely protest vehemently. There's no guarantee that this law will be upheld, and it might not end with simple protests either. Isn't that so? But we've upheld it, right? For 666 years, no less. Thinking like that might give you a rough idea. Just how important the yokai king is to us, and how much we've endured to uphold that tradition. But now, that patience seems to have run out. Do you know what I mean? If the next yokai king enforces the same law, not everyone will obediently follow like before. That's the story, right? You're quick to understand as always. Yeah, even if it's the king's command, they won't all listen this time. Even if it's the yokai king, ultimately the strongest yokai. If the vast majority of yokai in the world resist, it can't be stopped. And if it comes to that, it won't just be the new yokai king that will crumble. An existence that has been upheld for many years as the yokai king. Its authority and symbol, quite literally, will all fall to the ground. Now, do you understand what you said? I will become the yokai king and maintain the current state. Not many yokai out there would tolerate such arrogant words. The young yokai might mock and move on, but the older ones might try to tear you apart. Well, I have a pretty good idea where this hot air is coming from. You're a good one, but not exactly fitting the yokai stereotype. The problem is you're clueless about the ways of the world and recklessly give away your affection. So, are you asking me to take back what I said? That's right. Truthfully, at first, I thought you were just some inexperienced one I could squash beneath my foot. But now, it seems you've grown on me a bit. You catch on quickly, possess a fair bit of potential for growth, and all. Come under my command. If you help me become the yokai king, I'll let you rule the Korean peninsula. Quite a tempting offer, isn't it? Even if I rule, I won't be able to eliminate humans entirely, but I can probably spare a few that are close to you. On your side, how strong are you, Goyu? Is there a high chance of you becoming the yokai king as confidently as you're saying? I can't claim to be the strongest in the Korean peninsula, but, among the representatives outside, there's no yokai stronger than me. There's an age limit too. All right. If that means I can protect the people around me, I'll accept it. Just as expected, you never disappoint. You made a wise choice. I won't feel guilt. It's you who committed those deeds without a shred of trust. Pretending to shake hands, deceiving someone, and attacking first, it's all your type of thing. It was a far cry from what Saiwu had shown so far. It was a different kind of goblin wrestling. Utilizing only 60% of the energy within himself, leaving behind just a single bit, and squeezing out the rest of it. Not a reflexive sense but a deep-rooted awareness. For the first time unleashing a technique, fueled by determination and consciousness. Goblin Cirium Mountain Flip. With no hesitation in that motion. Only determination and readiness exist. Ha, ha, ha. The reason why my body can't stop shaking, is it because of the monster force? Ha, ha, correct. Stamina supplement and wound recovery, to Saiwu, who poured everything into the attack, leaving just the smallest amount of monster force behind. Those two benefits were not available for him to use for the time being. In this current moment, where he's run out of resources, Saiwu has no chance of continuing this fight. Tamping down on the bloodthirst until the very last minute, then drawing all of the remaining monster force for one shot. It's a fighting sense that can only be given by the heavens. Unique monster art, Arctic Tushita Pursuit. By freezing and manipulating water within a certain range centered around the user, if the difference in basic monster force between the two of us was just a bit less, then who knows, I might have even been helplessly eaten up by you. It's an art that can attack and defend without restriction. Nothing in particular. Even if I had a will, they aren't really words to leave behind for you, and since I went at you with the thought of killing you and consuming you from the start, I've already prepared myself that the same fate could befall me as well. Above all, I still haven't finished yet. If you expected me to beg for my life or something, I think you're a bit too early for that. Those eyes that still glare brightly without fading, is that the will to aim for the opponent's weak spots and wait for an opportunity? It may even be the goblin's fighting spirit that slowly becomes awakened while he himself doesn't realize it. You speak pretty well. When all you can do is stand. Good. Pass. Indeed, you didn't disappoint, even to your last remark. It was at the level where you just overflowed with spirit. Wait a minute, passing, what the hell does that? Well, that's just whether or not you're someone worth rooting for. There's no use in rooting for a rascal who doesn't even have any chance of becoming the Yoma King, is there? Our root. But you just said the reason why I couldn't be the Yoma King, didn't you? Oh, that's all true. Everyone's waiting with their eyes ablaze for the new Yoma King to be selected.